Hello guys, it's me Arati Goswami, and in today's video I'll share with you the reasons why you overthink, examples of the behavior, and how to overcome overthinking and relax. So, back in the days, I believed thinking as one of the most powerful human abilities. I still do, but I had the wrong approach in the past. I used thinking to create negative emotions and fuel my fears. If I were making a decision, I would think, what if things go wrong? If a lousy event occurred, I would look for all the possible causes to explain the occurrence. Such thinking only led to further thoughts and a deeper spiral. In most cases, no good came out of it. I ended up mentally exhausted with low motivation. To beat overthinking, you must identify the reasons behind such behavior first. So let's dive right into that. What causes overthinking? So, when you encounter a problem, you find reasons to explain the cause. Often, you do not have enough evidence to support the thoughts your brain comes up with. So, you either think deeper to hunt for proof or find a different reason. For example, let us consider the case where you send a message to a person but you did not receive a response. You start with a simple reason that she did not view the message. Now, if the read receipts are off, you have no evidence to prove that. You try to find a different reason. It looks like she is busy. As time passes, doubt creeps in. She is ignoring me on purpose until you have concrete proof to explain the event. You go on speculating different causes. Your brain goes through a similar thoughts process while making a decision too. You presume a possible outcome of your decision. Since you cannot guarantee the result, you think of an alternative. This loop can go on and on until you want to. For example, let us assume you want to quit your job and start your venture. You start with the assumption that your venture will turn successful within a year. When you think a little more, you realize you don't have any evidence to prove that statement. So you start with a minor negative thoughts. What if it takes longer to succeed? And in no time, this snowballs into a chain of evil thoughts. What if I never succeed? What if I lose everything I have? Fear grapples. You end up paralyzed to decide at all. So, the main factor which leads to overthinking is uncertainty. The tricky part here is things will always be unclear. You cannot predict the future for every decision you are making. You also cannot collect absolute proof for each event that occurred. Finally, it is your reaction to uncertainty that leads to overthinking disorder. Once you get into overthinking mode, your brain forms patterns that don't exist, such as tendency is called culminating illusion. It is a flow of the human mind where we find patterns in a random information when none exists. So your brain by default tries to identify tends to make better decisions. But guess what you do if you can't find it? Your brain simply creates one. We see patterns that do not exist. We see a streak when there are none. We see shapes and symbols in a pile of irregular and random data. For the same reason, two people can look at the same cloud and observe a different shape. Our brain has a hard time accepting that the information was random or an event occurred due to coincidence. The behavior gains more prominence when we have a small amount of data. The lack of data promotes us to think we have the ability of clairvoyant wizard who can predict the future. So don't let overthinking create problems that don't exist. The other factor which leads to overthinking is how busy you are. The more time you have at your disposal, you have at your own disposal, the more the opportunities to overthink. The impact of the event. If the consequences of the event are minor, you feel comfortable brushing it off. When the stakes are high, you start thinking longer. The people involved. So, folks involved with the event makes you difference in how badly it bothers you. If people associated are among your trusted folks, you find it easier to let go. If anyone suspicious has connection to the event, your spectacle mind turns on. Your mindset. Whether you look at the positive or negative side of the life determines how you think. The reality remains as is. What you choose to believe is what shapes your thoughts. One person look at a misshape and thinks someone did it intentionally, but and another person look at the same setback and find areas to improve. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at a change. So, common examples of overthinking. Through overthinking differs from person to person. It occurs in a three broad categories. Consider them as symptoms of overthinking if you like to. They can apply to overthinking about work, relationships, or clumsies. So, the first one is worrying about the past. When a rare event occurs, you start fearing the same could happen to you. After a shark attack, Bethany Hamilton, people stayed away from the water for a couple of years. Some fear a shark attack even today. Which such risks are real, they are far rarer than they appear. The dramatic factor and the rarity of the event lead to a more significant fear. You worry more about a terrorist attack than a heart attack, even though the latter has a much higher chance. The fear includes by scary events, forces your mind to worry, to grow your anxious about such tragic happening to yourself, which in reality never occur. To make that worse, stress affects your health too. So the second one is fear of the future. The uncertainty of events leads to worry about the future. Planning to your start your venture, you fear about your business failing in the future. Looking to invest in stocks, you worry about the market coming crashing down. Looking to write a book, you brood over not selling any copies. So the future will remain uncertain whether you are overthinking or not. The best you can do is make decisions based on research and facts. Some of the choices you make will have to be leap of faith.